Hi, friends, and welcome to our podcast this week, To Eat or Not to Eat. It is holiday season, and we are excited to share our thoughts. Our team from Liv Design Collective is here to share our Liv lifestyle thoughts on to eat or not to eat. Tristan, will you please introduce our team today?
Yes, for the purposes of this podcast, I would like you to address me as Your Honor all day today. Just address me as Your Honor. The honor, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we shall.
We have
Your
the
Honor.
honorable.
The Honorable Tristan. So that is me, VP of Business Development. We have the two other jailbirds in their stripes, Debony's CEO extraordinaire and household of many vegetables. We also have Jessie, Frenchie, ooh la la, with her Miley Cyrus lipstick, sporting a beautiful red. We're excited to be here today.
Thank you, girl. Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate that today.
Thank you.
So this episode came about because I actually don't eat vegetables. I try really hard, you guys, but let me tell you a tiny little background about Debony. Debony has been addicted to sugar since she made a batch of no-bake cookies every day in fourth grade, ask her friends. And I've passed that on to my daughter somehow. I don't eat the no-bake cookies hardly ever, but somehow she started that tradition. So sugar addiction for me is actually real, and I laugh it off, but it's kind of not funny. So I luckily, after one of my first babies in my mid to late 20s, for the very first time, went off sugar for 3 straight weeks in a row. And it was life-changing because at that point, if I craved sugar, if any of you, both of you plus anyone else knows how that feels, that you just have like major craving and it's like 8 p.m. or 10, even worse. And you're like, if I don't have something, I'm going to die. You'll know how that felt. So 3 weeks I went off of sugar. And so occasionally, very occasionally, I go off of sugar for chunks of time to prove my womanliness, but also because if I eat a little bit of sugar, I want to eat a lot of sugar. So when we were at High Point Market, our little Jessie was such a great example to our team. And so I feel like Jessie's been a great influence on us, right, Tristan, and just teaching us a few things on how to be a little bit better. So I feel like Jessie has it together in this category where she can besides, we'll talk about the Muddy Buddies in a minute.
Don't give me too much credit.
Good self-control in that case. So we're going to talk about the fact that sometimes we want to eat all the sugar cookies. And do you have any just like general tips that you want to share right off the bat for some of us who are striving to have a little more self-control this holiday season?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe the why, a little bit of the why, besides like we don't want to gain 5 pounds, but a little bit of the why.
Because the big why is sugar. It drops your immune system. And it just makes you so susceptible to lots of different things. So that's the big thing of why sugar, the really refined processed sugar per se. But like my big tip that I do is, there's quite a few things on this one. I do like to go with you on Debony, like that. I'm like, I just try to cut it out. If it's just for health reasons or if it's to prove to myself that I can do it. But I have learned over the years is because I absolutely love sugar as well. And there was actually, here's a little tangent. A big goal of mine was like, in the future, I don't even want to say it was a goal. It was just like a dream, but someday I wanted to own a bakery and a gym and have them connected. And I was going to call it Hot Crust Buns.
That is so clever.
Yes. 5 years.
So, that's a look inside Jessie's head. So what I do to help semi-control this is I allow it. I allow a little bit. So I can take that bite and I say, you are good. And then I take that bite and I'm like, okay, goodbye. So I allow it and then I allow myself to let it go.
Allow it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you allow yourself to let it go? For those of us who are like, who maybe think that, but after we have the bite, we're like, well, maybe just one more would be acceptable. Is there a mental shift? Is there something that you can just, or for me, a lot of times I'm like, one bite, throw the rest in the garbage, and I'm not going to go dig after it.
Exactly. So there's a part of getting over throwing food away. You learn, all right, that's Tristan's giving me that look, right? But you have to learn to say, it's okay. It's okay to throw this away. I don't have to eat it all. I can't allow myself to throw this away. And I can just hear my mom screaming in the back of my head, you don't throw any food away, but you can. And it's okay.
The rule at our house, because my husband says the same thing as I'm pouring root beer down the drain. See, he's like, what are you doing? That's wasting food. And I said, you can't waste junk food. It's junk food.
It's junk food.
No wasting junk food. Tristan, you have permission to throw away.
You do. And give yourself that permission in so many areas of your life. And you'll see how that will roll over into different areas of your life. But give yourself the permission. It's okay to throw it away. It's okay to buy it, to allow 1-2 bites, and then throw it away. But another one that I want to say is be present. I think that's a big lesson I have learned. And that, again, that has carried through in many areas of my life, but is to be present in that moment. So if I'm going to take that bite, I'm going to shift that gear and go into my mouth per se, and just take in the sensation, take in how it feels, take in that texture. I love textures. I love to feel them with my hands. I love to taste them, and I love to feel it in my mouth. And that may sound just absolutely crazy, but I do. And so I go into my brain and I feel the texture, and I feel how how that feels. And then I let it go. And I say, okay, thanks for that visit. Goodbye.
I actually really like that. Tristan, what did you think about that? What she just said?
No comment. However,
they're like, Jesse, you are.
I have a comment, and then you can say your however. So I get kind of what I feel like you're saying, Jesse, is it's just like enjoy it. Because I think sometimes when we're over starving, we're just like not starving ourselves, but like gorging ourselves, that we're not like really mindful and like enjoying every bite. But if you just enjoy your 2 or 3 or 1 cookie, instead of what happens if you're just kind of mindlessly doing it, you're not getting the same fulfillment. So you get to really soak it in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's tough when you're at holiday parties or when you're, oh, sorry, Tristan, go ahead.
No, she's teasing me about my however, but no, I think that there is a problem, particularly a problem in the country with gluttony. I mean, there is a very big difference between, so for me, with the root beer analogy, the root beer would probably just sit in my fridge until it became so stale that we're like, oh, it's so expired, it can go now. That's probably more what would happen in my reality. But I don't think that dumping out root beer is necessarily a bad thing. I just think that there is a problem with processed food and gluttony. And there is a great mindset and a movement of that present eating that you're talking about, that you are not hurried, not rushed, and that you are really just, because food is meant to be our fuel, but it's also meant to be enjoyed. And I think that's sometimes the spirit of it that gets lost when we talk about rigid eating or dieting, or I hate that word, everybody does, but like when we talk about restraint and restrictions, when we talk about diet, I think that's why people have negative connotations to them, is because of restrictions. It's not about the enjoyment of the food. And so I think the movement of being present for eating is very, very important, because the digestion system that responds to present eating is important. I'm not an expert on any of these dietitian things, but I know that it's very important when, like Debony was saying, you feel like you're starving and you know, like you're just like, and you're not really like,
you're starving. And then when you're in conversation too.
Right.
Or like at the movies, like you can sit there and eat all that popcorn, right? Because that's a trick to eat your vegetables, Debony. Put on a movie and like have vegetables.
It's true.
And
if they're in front of you will eat them. You will eat them. Okay, let's move on.
I have never done that. I have never in my entire life put on a movie with vegetables in front of me.
You're welcome. I just changed your life.
Thank you, Jess. I mean, I like feel really good when I have like the healthier popcorn instead of like the, movie butter popcorn. I feel like, oh, I'm really doing myself a solid.
There you go.
So I loved though, Tristan, you brought up kind of that emotional part of eating and the holidays. Here's, the reason we want to do this podcast is because, for one, it's maybe a personal problem. And two, it's like, we really do want to make sure we're supported through, COVID season, flu season, all the things that are happening right now. We want to be as healthy as possible, just so that we feel good for the holidays and for all the activities. And we also want to have those special memories for me, that's a part of the holidays too, is the baking, is the fun part. So how do you kind of just keep control of it? And one of them is we wanted to share some of our favorite recipes. On one of our episodes, we talked about the holidays and how we should and could transition some of our like traditions. And one of those traditions can be the baking of the unhealthy foods, of which we all think we should continue to some degree. But if there's something that you're doing just because you're doing it, skip that. And there are some healthier alternatives, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us about it, Jessie.
Well, another rule, the Muddy Buddies. Oh my gosh. Well, one rule I allow myself is if I bake it or if I'm willing to make it from scratch, I am allowed to eat it. So that's another one of my rules that like, if I want a sugar cookie, then I have to make it from scratch and then I am allowed to eat it. So that's another one. Another thing is there are healthier options out there for treats. And I'm going to fangirl out for a second because I'm going to share, I love Clean Simple Eats. These guys, they don't endorse us yet, right? Our dream, right? But I love them. I have followed them for probably, I want to say like 7-ish years. Yes, I love Clean Simple Eats. And they have produced massive amounts of these cookbooks and healthier reasons. And I'm showing their treat book that I've used for years. Since it came out, I don't know how long. When I say years, I feel like I sound like a grandma, but it has all these different ones. So the one that Debney keeps referring to is because Sunday I made myself these brownie batter Muddy Buddies. And so instead of the sugar that you usually coat them in, it's powdered peanut butter.
The powder. Okay. Yeah.
I ate these for breakfast, you guys. I'm not perfect in any way.
But they're covered in protein.
Just like Jessie, the way that you're like, the shame.
I ate Muddy Buddies for breakfast.
This evening we'll be watching a movie, eating carrots. Like we do know you, Jessie. So Jessie always finds balance in all things.
Well, it was also my lunch yesterday too. So
they have a lot of healthy recipes there. I feel like online, that's what I've been doing a lot lately is like, okay, here's a normal brownie recipe from the box. There are so many options, and we're going to continue to share on our Live Lifestyle Co. website some of our favorite recipes that just cut out the refined sugar. They use maple syrup, whatever it might be.
Or they'll throw in powdered protein powder. And because a lot of protein powders, they have a really good taste to them now. Like there's certain ones, but there's still some that are just absolutely awful. But there's certain brands of protein powder that tastes good. And so they use that for a sweetener as well. So, but they use honey, they use maple syrup, the natural sweeteners. And that's easier for your body to digest. It doesn't go automatically stored as fat. Your body can burn through that type of sugar as well, a lot easier. Same with using like fruit, that your body just uses those better. So that's why I like that there are options out there. I'm not saying this is the one for all. I just personally really like them.
What are some of your quick favorites through their book that we can share, the screenshots of their...
Oh, you mean other than Muddy Buddies?
I think you said said you like, well, they have a lot of great power protein.
They have the power balls, like, yeah, they call them like energy balls or power balls. I love those because they taste like cookies. They even have a no-bake one, which I love. They have the no-bake cookies. They have, I'll share some photos. They have like these brownie cupcakes and they have like raspberries on top. They have donuts. They have cinnamon rolls that are made with sweet potatoes. Like, what? They're amazing. There's quite a few that I really love. The donuts are really, really good. They have some brownies, some butterscotch brownies. So they're
one other tip we wanted to share was, I think part of the holiday memories is making something in the kitchen with your family, whether it's kids or grandma or whoever it is. That's something that you can do together with just about any age, and that you could make. One example was our little banana pops, and
yes,
so many cute things that you could say instead of making, great, let's make cookies tonight, but in 2 more days, we're kind of going to want to do something again. Maybe we shouldn't make cookies every night. What about doing the cute, banana snowmen, for instance?
Yeah, exactly.
Options. What about if you want to host? I think that more and more we were discussing how hard it can be to host a party, and you get somebody that comes and you've created whatever, and they're like, well, I can't eat that because I'm whatever. What are some tips that we wanted to share really quickly? We've just got a couple minutes left for this podcast, but what do we want to share?
Yeah, there's the people that they're choosing to have certain lifestyles, right? So they're choosing to eat certain things. So I think keep it simple. Hey, just keep it simple. So have just a vegetable platter, and you can have a meat platter. Even if you have a friend that's coming over that's vegan or vegetarian, have that meat platter, have the spread, get creative with the cheeses, get creative with that spread. But don't feel like
proud of our charcuterie board that made the Oprah list. So
we are, yes. We made that nice list this year. And so it's up on that Live Lifestyle Co., our website. But have a beautiful spread and use those charcuterie boards, and you can make them very beautiful and colorful with lots of different options.
But just kind of keeping the holiday party simple, because sometimes we go to a lot of effort to make a lot of different things, and more people are choosing to. They have their various lifestyles. Some people aren't eating meat, and then you have somebody else that's not eting sugar. And as a host, you
someone's on keto, and somebody, yeah, exactly. So I mean, invite everyone, but just keep it simple, and don't put on that pressure. It's their lifestyle; they can choose. I have one friend that actually she brings her own food because nobody ever. And if they want to do that, that's fine, but we're glad that you came and you joined, but you don't have to put on the stress of somebody else's lifestyle choice.
I've loved when a couple of parties that I've had, especially when I'm trying to reduce my own sugar, that I have various types of treats when we're having like a New Year's party, that I feel like I've got my special, popcorn or something that just has, it's not as delightful as maybe the one that's coated with everything, but I think it's good to have a little bit of that variety.
Yep, I agree.
Any last minute thoughts from the crew here today?
From the honor, do you
Your
have
honor?
Your honor, do you have any?
Yes.
Your honor, you have 30 seconds, Your honor.
I have 30 seconds. Yes, I'm ready to roll. No, I think that there's always a balance in life, right? If you're going to eat something that's loaded and heavy and has a lot of high calorie intake, that you're going to have to eat a little bit of lettuce and learn to be okay with that, right? Like I said, I really am a student in a lot of these conversations, because I learned a lot from a really good friend that's a registered dietitian. And she always said to me the principle of what else? If you're presenting something to your family, what else can I add that has some kind of nutritional quality to it?
I like that.
And so it was like, she would say, what else? I would always have I'd have a side. I would have, a starch, a side, a protein, and I would have a balance when I would have home cooked meals. And she would, what else? I think I can infuse this. And, she would just add a lot of value to my repertoire for cooking. So I think there's just a balance that everybody has that they need to maintain in keeping a healthy, active lifestyle. On top of it, I'm going to eat French fries, and I will, because I'm not going to quit that. I'm going to reduce it, but I'm not going to quit it. I know that I'm going to have to put my money where my mouth is and go on long walks and be more active, because I can't lament about the scale and not do anything about it, right? So I just think everybody has to have that balance and a harmonious lifestyle. If you're going to have a huge Thanksgiving dinner, I just loved that we could go swimming later in the night to just kind of burn off some of that holiday eating.
That's why you need a gym connected to your bakery. Right there.
Hot cross buns.
Hot cross
Very
buns.
clever. I love it.
I feel like we gave some good advice today. I hope. I hope really that's the goal, is, just being, I love just the word present. And I feel like that alone is a great tip for the holidays. As far as food, we're trying to keep our immune systems healthy. We want to be there for our families. We want to create these awesome memories. And I think being present and being mindful about and intentional about those holiday traditions. So we're intentional about and preparing and planning those things. I love it.
Great.
So thank you, friends, for joining us today. And thank you for all of your shares. And we thank you for your 5-star ratings. So please keep sharing with your friends and family, and please keep rating 5 stars on our podcast. And we will see you next time.